It's time for Thursday night football. Week 8 is here. Everyone, I am pumped, man. It's going to be a fantastic game tonight. We got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers playing in Buffalo tonight. 9-point underdogs in this game. I'm excited for this one. The Bills coming off an embarrassing loss to the New England Patriots. There's a lot of start-sit decisions that are going to have to be made tonight, and a lot of good players to start tonight for sure. You got to start Allen and Diggs. Obviously, Dalton Kincaid, I think, should be started in almost all situations tonight. And then we got Chris Godwin, Mike Evans. I think there's solid wide receiver starts tonight as well. Rachaad White, I think, is a decent start. Tyler Bass, only kicker I'm starting in this one. I'm benching Gabe Davis at this point. This is a spot that he could have a touchdown, but the floor is just so low with Gabe. All right, let's get to some of the comments. We're going to get to all the start-sit comments in these live streams. Godwin or Rashee Rice? Yeah, I'm not benching Godwin for Rashee Rice. Back for another week, Aaron Jones or James Cook. And also Garrett Wilson, Nico Collins, or Terry pick too. Yeah, so we're going to focus on the Thursday night start-sit here from Jordan because we get to thousands of the Sunday start-sits on the Sunday morning live. But I do want to compare Aaron Jones and James Cook because I'm pretty nervous for James Cook tonight. I've been nervous about him with the increased role for Latavius Murray. He ended up having a fine day last week. Let's do James Cook, Aaron Jones. I'm pretty nervous about Aaron Jones as well. And yeah, it's Aaron Jones over James Cook. And really, it's the matchup, guys, for James Cook that I'm so concerned about. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they rank second best against running backs this season. And I actually think there's an argument that they are the best defense against running backs this year. Because when you look at the data and the running backs that have played against the Bucs this season, the Eagles technically ranked number one against running backs this year. But when you look at what the Buccaneers have done, and if you look at PPR scoring, they're really, I think, closer to like 8th or 9th best defense against running backs. But they just had one big game where they let up 13 receptions to Alvin Kamara, but he only had 33 receiving yards in that game. That's the only game we've seen this entire season. We're in week 8 now. The Bucs have played 6 games. Only game this entire season we've seen a running back over 20 points. It's actually the only game we've seen a running back over 15 PPR points. There's only one running back this whole season that's gone over 15 PPR points against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that was Alvin Kamara, who did it with 12 receptions. So yeah, there's just not that great of a path for James Cook to have such a high ceiling tonight. And the floor is kind of scary too against this defense. Yeah, he's coming off a good game with 19 points. That came almost entirely through the air, 3 catches, 46 yards, and a receiving touchdown last week. The receiving role was definitely good for him, but he continues to not see workhorse usage. Back-to-back games now, under a 55% snap share for James Cook. Aaron Jones is getting healthier. Practicing on Thursday, that's always a good sign. So yeah, I'm going Aaron Jones over James Cook. I'm playing a lot of different running backs over James Cook this week. And Nody Gang, what's up, Yarjma? Good to see you in the live. All right, yes, we got to that one. That's why we're sitting James Cook. Only one running back this entire season in PPR leagues has gone over 15 fantasy points. Godwin or Bijan, man, I don't think I'm benching Bijan despite the headache debacle last week, which was absolutely ridiculous from a fantasy football perspective. T. Higgins or Michael Pittman, not a Thursday night question, but I probably lean towards Pittman, but yeah, not a Thursday night question. All right, Rachaad White or Chris Godwin? This is a good Thursday night question here. Let's do this comparison. I think I personally, off the cuff, I lean towards Chris Godwin over Rachaad White. I do really like Chris Godwin tonight. I think he's being slept on just in general. Chris Godwin, guys, has not scored a touchdown yet this season. I don't even know how this is possible with the type of usage he's seeing. Let me just pull up some numbers here for Chris Godwin. Let's actually just pull it up right here on the app in the game logs for Chris Godwin. His usage has actually been really good this season. And I actually think I like Chris Godwin just a little bit more than Mike Evans tonight in PPR leagues. Chris Godwin has at least 5 targets every single game so far this season. He's got at least 7 targets in his last 3 games. He doesn't have a game, guys. Chris Godwin does not have a game with under a 19% target share. He's got at least 5 catches in all but 1 game. He's just super steady. No touchdowns yet for Chris Godwin. I wouldn't be surprised at all if that changes tonight. This is a good matchup. This is a very, very good matchup for Chris Godwin and Mike Evans tonight. Bro, you came in clutch last weekend. Thank you. I got you, man. And that's what I'm here to do. I'm trying to help you guys make it to the fantasy football championship. So, don't victory lap too much from one week. You got to focus on 1 week at a time, get to the fantasy playoffs, and then optimize for the playoffs. Who are you going to get more points, Mike Evans or Chris or Chris Godwin or Steph Diggs. Yeah, it's going to be Steph Diggs. So in the TikTok live, guys, I'll pull this up on the YouTube live too. We're live on TikTok and YouTube. And by the way, the best way you can support me is checking out the Walter Picks app, which if you're watching live on TikTok or YouTube, you see it on the screen right now. This is the Walter Picks app. It's free. It's in the TikTok bio. I spent the last three years of my life helping build this app. It's going to help you in fantasy and betting. But yeah, Steph Diggs is the number one receiver in my eyes this week. He's the number one receiver in the Walter Picks app from Walter's AI projections this week as well. And it's a better matchup for Diggs than it is for Mike Evans and even Chris Godwin. And yeah, Diggs has just an insane floor. I think his worst game this season, he had 6 catches, 66 yards. That was his worst game of the season. It was like a 12.5 fantasy point day. Let me pull up the game logs here for Steph Diggs, but they're absolutely insane. A lot of green you're going to see in these Steph Diggs game logs. So yeah, it's definitely Steph Diggs for sure. And this isn't even the projection here. That was the matchup ratings. The projections are here. You can see the boom bust graphs behind me on the TikTok live. As well. But yeah, you got to start Steph Diggs. 100% you're starting Steph Diggs in 100% of scenarios. I actually disagree with Walter's week 8 projections between between Evans and Godwin. I like Godwin a little bit more than Evans in PPR leagues. Evans is the one that scored the touchdowns this season. But to me, Godwin has a safer floor and not that different of a ceiling. The ceiling for Mike Evans, obviously, he's shown has been much higher so far this year. But that's just because Godwin hasn't scored any touchdowns yet. And I do think that will change in due time. All right, let's get back to these questions. Gibbs or Cook? Yeah, you absolutely cannot be benching Jahmyr Gibbs. And you really should bench James Cook in a lot of situations tonight. This is not a good matchup. This is maybe the worst possible matchup for James Cook. James Cook is playing a Buccaneers defense, allowing the second fewest points per game to running backs this season. They rank bottom 10 if you look at different scoring settings. But the only good game they've allowed was to Alvin Kamara, his first game back, where he had 13 receptions. That was the only game where the Buccaneers allowed a running back to go over 15 PPR points. So you absolutely need to be benching James Cook in most spots. Why has Nick Chubb not put up any points for weeks? Oh man, don't bring it up. Don't bring up Nick Chubb to me. I'm still healing from that injury. All right, I traded Tay and James Cook for Justin Jefferson and Hunt. Is that a W? Yeah, if you're going to make the fantasy playoffs, it's absolutely a W, in my opinion. Sam, year 3 with Walter Picks. Thanks, man. Yeah, I can't believe we're on year 3. We're sitting James Cook because it's an absolutely terrible matchup. This is a really, really tough run defense that has not allowed more than 15 points to any running backs this season, except for Alvin Kamara, who had 13 receptions. James Cook's not going to have 13 receptions tonight. Trade partners letting me choose between Chase and Kupp. I have Puka. Who should I take? PPR. Yeah, this is a really interesting decision here. Let's actually put this into the Walter Picks trade analyzer because I think this is close. I think I would slightly prefer Cooper Kupp over Jamar Chase, but it's definitely extremely, extremely close. And I bet that, Walter agrees with me. It's a slight edge to Cooper Kupp, but just barely. I know Kupp's coming off his worst game in like 2.5 years, but I think that says all you need to know. Like the floor is just so high for Cooper Kupp. It's a maybe slightly higher ceiling for Jamar Chase, who had a 50 bomb, already this season. And Jamar Chase does have a couple good matchups. I really like the Bengals playoff schedule for fantasy versus Kupp's playoff schedule. Also looks pretty good, though. Yeah, so I lean Kupp just slightly in PPR, but both guys are definitely top 5 options. All right, Kincaid over Waller. Yeah, so I'm playing Kincaid over a lot of different tight ends tonight, and I think you should too. Dalton Kincaid really projects extremely well. So let's do Kincaid versus Waller in the Walter Picks app here too. But yeah, Dalton Kincaid, guys, is going to see his high snap share of the season, almost definitely. He's coming off a game where he had his best usage of the season in a lot of different ways. These are definitely close. Waller does have the better matchup. The Bucs have been good against tight ends. That's the one downside for Dalton Kincaid tonight. But all the defenses are relatively comparable when you look at the actual points per game allowed, because tight ends just score so few points. And Dalton Kincaid has a legit floor and a legit ceiling tonight. He's coming off his highest target share game of the season, 21% target share last week. No Dawson Knox, even Quinton Morris, the third string tight end on the Bills, he's out too. So Kincaid could legitimately play, 75, 80, 90, 100% of the snaps. Probably won't play 100% of the snaps, but it could be close to week 1 where he played 80% of the snaps. He could run the most routes of the season tonight. And I think he's the clear number 2 receiving option in this offense behind Steph Diggs. So there's just not very many good tight ends out there. Darren Waller is a good one. I'm playing Kincaid over him. It's close. But yeah, I'm playing Dalton Kincaid over Darren Waller tonight. I'm the only 3 tight ends I'm starting over Dalton Kincaid are the big 3. Travis Kelce, TJ Hawkinson, Mark Andrews. That's it. Those are the only three tight ends I'm starting over Dalton Kincaid this week personally. I think he has to be started even in a difficult matchup. Just the role projects too good. He's the number 2 receiving option for Josh Allen tonight, guys. He's the number 2 receiving option. Gabe Davis, yes, he does still exist. But let's talk about Gabe Davis a bit, because he's definitely a boom bust option. As we expected this season, he started the season with a bunch of booms. He's recently had a bunch of busts. And when he busts, guys, he busts really hard. I mean, under 4 points, under 3.5 PPR points for Gabe Davis in back-to-back games. And this is what happens with a guy that is touchdown dependent. He scored a touchdown in each of the first 4 games. Gabe Davis, he goes back-to-back games now without a TD, and he goes back-to-back games now under 4 fantasy points. That's the floor you're getting with Gabe Davis. And yeah, that's the same thing you're getting tonight. He has a ceiling. If he scores a touchdown, he'll probably go over 10, 12 points, but his floor is below 4 PPR points. So just start him cautiously. I think he's a desperation flex play in fantasy at this point, and he probably belongs on almost everybody's bench. He's just good enough not to be dropped to the waiver wire. Higgins or Garrett Wilson over Josh Palmer. Yeah, I definitely play both those guys over Josh Palmer. All right, why Cook? Because the Bucs defense, the run defense is very, very, very good. I'm playing Rachaad White over James Cook for sure, because the Buccaneers, guys, they haven't allowed any big games. No big games against running backs. The best game they've only allowed one running back, the Buccaneers defense. They've only allowed one running back to go over 15 PPR points. And it was Alvin Kamara, who had 21 points on a game where he had 13 receptions. This is PPR scoring. So he got 13 points from 13 receptions. That was the only game where we've seen running backs go over 15 points against this defense. And they haven't played the worst running backs. DeAndre Swift, he didn't go over 15 points. We saw Khalil Herbert, who was having a pretty good season before he got hurt. He didn't go over 15 points. Alexander Madison week 1, he hasn't been great, but he didn't go over 15 points. David Montgomery, he didn't go over 15 points or score a touchdown against this defense. Guys, not a single rushing touchdown has been allowed by a running back against the Bucs defense. So yeah, just such a low floor. And really, I don't think that high of a ceiling for James Cook tonight. I would start Rachaad White over almost everybody that I'm going to see in the comments tonight. Aaron Jones, yeah, I would start Rachaad White over him. That means it's due to happen. That is not necessarily what that means. That is not exactly how that works. Okay. Getting scared about Saquon Barkley. Not playing White as my backup. Also have Javonte. What do I do? Yeah, you playing Saquon Barkley over Rachaad White. 100%. The usage has been great. Hey, Sam. Hope you had a great day. You as well, Kyle. What's tonight's prop? Would love to hear it. Also, we cashed last week's DK lineup. Let's go. Yeah, we did cash last week's DK lineup. We're now up to 3 DK lineups, tournaments that have cashed on these live streams. And man, I'm surprised you didn't mention it, Kylo. We also cashed both of the player props on the free live last Sunday. We're up to 11-4 on the free player props this season. I mean, it's really hard to get better than this. And yeah, tonight's is Chris Godwin, over 52.5 receiving yards. I mean, he has gone over this. If you go back to last season, he's gone over this in 8 of his last 10 games. This is, if you're watching live on TikTok, the prop evaluator in the Walter Picks app, brand new tool in the app, which you can get in the TikTok bio for free. But Chris Godwin over 52.5 receiving yards. This is the free player prop of the live stream tonight. I like this one a lot. The Bills defense is bad, guys. It's bad. Chris Godwin has at least 51 yards in all but one game this season. And he's hit this mark and he's had at least 50 yards in 9 of his last 10 games. Going back to last season, it's a little weird to muddy the data with Tom Brady games. But the Bucs are 9-point underdogs in this game. They're going to have to throw the ball a lot. He had a season high. Godwin had a season high 12 targets last week. And we have seen the Bills be really bad defensively since the injuries have started to pile up. There's no Tre'Davious White, no Matt Milano. They're missing another couple of their key starters on defense. And we've seen tons of receivers clear these lines against the Bills. Kendrick Bourne and Demario Douglas both beat this line just last week. Those aren't the best receivers, guys. They're both worse than Chris Godwin for sure. Wan'Dale Robinson, Darius Slayton, both those guys cleared this prop line. Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley both cleared it as well. And that's just the last 3 games for the Bills. So yeah, I do really like the Chris Godwin prop tonight. That's the free player prop of the live. And man, the Bills are in a must-win situation here, coming off a loss against the Pats, and they've really struggled in the first half, guys. The Bills have not scored a first half touchdown in their last 2 games. That's a Thursday Night Football stat for you. Another interesting Thursday Night Football stat for you tonight, and something that's got to give here in this matchup. The Buccaneers defense, it ranks number 1 in the NFL in the percentage of drives that they've turned into turnovers. So they're basically leading the league in turnover rate, the Bucs defense. Who's number 2? It's the Bills, who rank 2nd. So we might see a decent amount of turnovers tonight if that trend continues. Another interesting Thursday Night Football stat for you in this one. The Bills are allowing 6.8 yards per play on first down. That's second worst in the NFL. Meanwhile, the Bucs have been horrible on first downs, averaging just 4.5 yards per play on first down. That's 30. So this is the one where something's got to give here. We got a horrible defense on first down. We got a horrible offense on first down. And to me, I think the Bucs offense wins this matchup. The Bills defense is just completely deplete of talent with 4, 5, 6 starters injured tonight in this game, like injured, not even just tonight. Several of those guys out for the season for the Bills. Definitely a big issue for them. I do really like the Bucs +9 for that reason. The defense for the Bills, I mean, we saw it with the Pats just last week, is not, I don't think it justifies a 9-point spread in this game. I do really like the Bills offense in this one still, despite a good Bucs defense. I think the Bills offense will bounce back, but I don't think the Bills defense is good enough to sustain a 9-point win against the Bucs. So I'm going with the Bucs +9 in this one. People that have James Cook and Gabe Davis in 12-team leagues can't afford to bench them. I think the James Cook one, I can understand. The Gabe Davis one, I think there's a lot of better options out there than Gabe Davis. I mean, probably like Gabe Davis is a fringe waiver wire guy, I think, in a 12-team league. And I'm speaking from the perspective, I'm in a bunch of 14-team leagues, and I'm not starting Gabe Davis in those. I think Tank Dell, like an easy start over Gabe Davis, for example. I would start. Let me rattle off some guys. I'm going to start over Gabe Davis this week, and I think that'll change your perspective on that one. In a 12-team league, James Cook, I think a lot of people will have better options than James Cook as well, but not quite as much as Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis, his floor is just so low. The ceiling is there. You can't start him. But yeah, I'd start KJ Osborne over Gabe Davis. I think DJ Chark is a fine start over Gabe Davis. I think Josh Downs at this point, you can start over him. Curtis Samuel, I think, is fine to start over him. Kendrick Bourne, Joshua Palmer, Tank Dell, Rashee Rice for sure can be started over him at this point. And yeah, I'm starting Gabe Davis over guys like Darnell Mooney. I think you can start him over Wan'Dale Robinson, Elijah Moore, those types of guys. But yeah, the ceiling is there, at least for Gabe, but the floor is also so low, under 5 points. He's been under 4 points in each of his last 2 games. I don't think he'll go under 4 points tonight, but if he doesn't score a touchdown, he's probably going to go under 10 fantasy points. Y'all stay sleeping on Bourne. Brian Robinson or Amari DiMercado, not a Thursday night question, but I think I would lean towards B-Rob there still. Godwin or Flowers this week? Yeah, Flowers has a good matchup against the Arizona Cardinals this week. I really like Godwin tonight too. I think this one's super close. I'm going to do this one on the YouTube live. Godwin versus Flowers. It's Godwin. Yeah, you got to go Godwin over Flowers tonight. Start Rashad or Cook. Yeah, I'm going Rashad White over Cook easily. I'm playing Kincaid over Goddard. I'm playing Kincaid over Goddard. I'm playing Kincaid over Waller. I'm playing Kincaid over every tight end that is not Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, and TJ Hawkinson. I'm playing Hawkinson over Kincaid pretty easily. I'm playing Andrews and Kelce over him pretty easily as well. I do think Hawk is going to play. I am nervous about that, and maybe you could make an argument for Kincaid over Hawk because of the foot injury, but he played through the foot injury in the last game, so that does give me confidence he's going to play this week. You're definitely playing Chris Godwin over Rashad White. All right, we got a question here in the YouTube live. Rashad White or Dameon Pierce, lesser of the two evils. So let me pull up my must-starts here on the YouTube live again. And yeah, it's Rashad White. If this is a PPR league, you got to go Rashad White over Dameon Pierce. Pierce has a great matchup this week against the Panthers, so this one actually is kind of close. Let's actually do this comparison quick in the app, but I personally like Rashad White in PPR more than Pierce. And yeah, Devin Singletary played a concerning amount in the week before the bye. Yeah, it's got to be Rashad White for sure over Dameon Pierce. Rashad White's seeing pretty good usage, guys. He has not played less than 70% of the snaps in a single game this entire season. Chase Edmonds maybe will be active tonight. I think most likely that'll happen next week. I don't think he'll eat into this that much, though. And yeah, he sees enough target volume, too, that Rashad White's a solid option, a high floor option in PPR leagues and not the scariest defense tonight. I'm not playing Rashad White over Jahmyr Gibbs, though. Absolutely not. I think it's more likely than not David Montgomery doesn't play again this week. They said he was going to be out a little while when they first ruled him out, and he didn't practice today. So there's a good chance that Gibbs plays without David Montgomery again, and that makes him a top 5, at least a top 10 running back in PPR formats. We saw why last week. And even if Monty plays, I think Gibbs and White are really, really close. Should I start Breece Hall or CeeDee Lamb? Kind of start both these guys. I do really like Breece, though, against the Giants this week. Godwin or Downs? Yeah, I'm going Godwin over Downs pretty easily. I'm going Godwin over Kirk as well. I do really like Christian Kirk and his floor, but I do like Godwin more tonight. I'm playing Godwin over Henderson also. Okay. Let's talk about this game. Sam, let's go. What's up, Matthew? Let's go. Quick question, Kincaid or Ingram? T-Law's my, yeah, I don't care that T-Law is your QB. I think it's Kincaid, man. He's the number 2 receiving option for Josh Allen tonight. And there's no Dawson Knox. And even the Quinton Morris, the third string tight end, he's even inactive. So Kincaid is going to see probably his highest snap share of his career, and he's coming off his highest target share of his career. I really like him tonight. I think there's a good floor and ceiling, even though the matchup is not great. Stash Kincaid or Schultz. Definitely stash Kincaid. Kincaid to me is a top 8 tight end for as long as Dawson Knox is out. We're benching James Cook tonight because the Bucs defense has been very, very good. I would go Devontae Smith over Rachaad White still. I know a lot of people are panicking about Devontae Smith. I do think he'll bounce back as the season goes along and have plenty of boom games to make up for his bust games. But yeah, I'm going Devontae Smith over Rachaad. That's a pretty close one. Devontae Smith probably has a lower floor at this point, but I would lean Devontae Smith for the ceiling. Thursday night, Mike Evans or Kirk and DJ Moore. Kirk and Moore have excellent matchups with Bills are down starting corners. Yeah, Mike Evans is in a good spot tonight. Let's do this comparison. I really like DJ Moore in the matchup this week. I think Christian Kirk has a pretty high floor as well. I think my gut says Mike Evans and DJ Moore both over Christian Kirk this week. And yeah, DJ Moore, man, he can't be benched, I don't think, this week against the Chargers. I have a little bit of faith at this point in Tyson Bagent, enough faith to start DJ Moore over Mike Evans and to start DJ Moore over Chris Godwin tonight as well. But yeah, I'm going Mike Evans over Christian Kirk. I'm playing Chris Godwin over Mike Evans, so I'm playing Chris Godwin over Christian Kirk as well, but I would not play Chris Godwin over DJ Moore either. So that gives some perspective on how I'm thinking about these Thursday night start sits. And we got to bench James Cook. Guys, the matchup for James Cook is very, very bad. Not a single running back has gone over 15 fantasy points, PPR fantasy points against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense, except for Alvin Kamara, who did it with 13 receptions. He got 13 of his 21 PPR points from receptions in that game. That's the only running back that's done it. DeAndre Swift didn't do it. Khalil Herbert didn't do it. Alexander Madison didn't do it. And guess what? James Cook probably not going to do it. James Cook, meanwhile, is ceding a lot of snaps and touches to Latavius Murray, who has started. Latavius Murray has started each of the last 2 games now for the Bills. So don't be surprised when we see him start tonight. He's played 49% of the snaps in week 6 and 45% of the snaps in week 7. He didn't get very many carries. Last week, only 4 carries for 8 yards. He's definitely much worse than James Cook in basically every single possible way. But the Bills seem to like using him. And that's not good news for James Cook in a game where they have an absolutely brutal matchup in terms of being able to run the ball. And that's part of the reason I like Josh Allen a lot tonight. I haven't seen any Josh Allen questions because I think most people are going to start Josh Allen no matter what. But Josh Allen should bounce back tonight, in my opinion. Do you like Rachaad White tonight? Yep, I like Rachaad White tonight. I think he's a solid high floor start. I don't think there's a super high ceiling there. Kincaid, Ingram, Adams, and Andrews. Kincaid, Ingram, Adams, or Andrews and Ridley. I don't really want Kincaid and Evan Ingram. I don't know why you want 2 tight ends like that on the same team. So I'd probably go with Andrew's side. Godwin or Joe Mixon? I'd go Godwin over Joe Mixon. Yeah, I'm playing Godwin, I think, over Ayuk too with no Brock Purdy. I do think Sam Darnold will probably surprise some people with how well he plays, though, if Brock Purdy's out. And there's still a chance Brock Purdy plays too. Hey, Sam, Rashad or Madison and Kincaid or Goddard have PPR? Yeah, I'm going Kincaid over Goddard, and I'm going Rashad over Madison as well. It's a good matchup for Madison, but the workload has been better for Rashad than Madison. And it's not a bad matchup for Rachaad White tonight either. The Bills defense has been really, really bad. Bucks going to get the dub. I do like the Bucks +9. They're 9-point underdogs. That seems like too much against a team that just lost to the Patriots. Guys, the Patriots are one of the worst teams in the NFL. The Bills just lost to the Pats, and that's a very concerning sign for the Bills. They have just so many injuries on defense. 4 or 5 of their best defensive players are out on their defense, and it's starting to show. They have been crushed defensively, especially since these injuries have started to pile up. The Bills are allowing the 2nd most yards per play on first down in the NFL. Gabe Davis has scored TD in this game. Probably a good chance of that happening. He scored 1 in each of the first 4 games and none in the last 2. But if he doesn't, Gabe Davis is probably going to go under 7 PPR fantasy points. Again, he's been under 4 PPR fantasy points in each of his last 2 games. Sam, Thursday night, do I start White tonight? I have 2 running back slots, 2 flex spots. Hall, Stevenson, Bijan, Gibbs, Swift. No, you're not starting White. You're definitely starting Free. Sorry, I think there's a little bit of flicker of the internet there on my end. But yeah, you're definitely starting Bijan, you're starting Gibbs, you're starting Hall and Swift. I'm starting all those guys over Rachaad White. I think Rachaad White for Stevenson, that one's pretty close. I think I lean towards Rachaad White there. It's a really close one. I think they're really similar fantasy options. But yeah, I'm playing Bijan, Gibbs, Hall, and Swift. I think all those guys are much, much, much better options than both running backs in the game tonight. Laporta or Kincaid? Yeah, I'm going Kincaid over Sam Laporta this week. Do I trade A.J. Brown and Swift for Eckler and Waddle? A.J. Brown and Swift for Eckler and Waddle. Man, I don't know if I would do this. A.J. Brown has been so good. I do want to try to trade for Austin Eckler. He was in one of my 19 players you need to trade for video that I posted last week, the longest TikTok I've ever made. And you look at the playoff schedule for Austin Eckler, and oh my God, you just light up. You can't see it quite on. Let me hide the comment here so you can see this. But A.J. Brown and DeAndre Swift, both really good assets. But Austin Eckler is going to win leagues in the playoffs. A.J. Brown, though, is a top 5 wide receiver rest of season 2. So it's a tough call there, honestly, the more I think about it. I really do want Austin Eckler. I don't love having Swift and A.J. Brown on the same team. A.J. Brown has a pretty good playoff schedule, too, though. I lean towards the A.J. Brown Swift side of that trade. Moss or Edwards in my flex. I mean, just a disgusting decision you got to make there. And I think I lean towards Moss over Edwards. Thursday night, Taysom, Kincaid, Ingram, PPR, also Devontae Smith, Cooper, or MT. Yeah, so I'm playing Dalton Kincaid over every single tight end that is not Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, TJ Hawkinson this week. He's my tight end 4 this week. I think there's a pretty high – you don't get high floors at the tight end position. And there's definitely like a little bit of a group forming behind the elite top 3 tight ends. And I think Kincaid is now a part of that group with Dawson Knox out for at least the next 4 games. Also, the third string tight end for the Bills, he's out too. And that's just going to mean even more of a role for Kincaid. I'm playing Kincaid over Ingram. I'm playing Kincaid over Dallas Goedert. I'm playing Kincaid over Darren Waller. I'm playing Kincaid over Sam Laporta. It might feel a little aggressive, but yeah, Kincaid, I think, is going to be the number 2 receiving option for Josh Allen in a game that the Bills are probably going to score 30-plus points. And I think you're going to want the number 2 receiving option for Josh Allen in a game like that. The Bucs defense has been good against tight ends, but I don't care that much about that when I think that Kincaid's going to get this type of usage. He had 8 targets last week. He caught all 8 of them. Kincaid has only not caught 2 of his targets this season. He's got like a 90% catch rate this season too. Jake Elliott or Tyler Bass? You got the kicker questions starting to roll in here. And yeah, I like Tyler Bass tonight. I generally don't have tons of thoughts about the kickers. Just start the kicker that's on the offense that's going to score more points, and that's probably Tyler Bass, but it's close. Gabe Davis, I think, has a really, really low floor, but a good enough ceiling to start if you really need a flex option. Smash that like button. Yeah, guys, if you're watching live on YouTube or you're watching live on TikTok, hit that like button. Andrew Lewis, thank you for subscribing to the TikTok live. If you're watching live on TikTok and you subscribe to the TikTok live, which I think is like $5 a month or something like that, I will get to 100% of your comments. And actually at the end of the live stream, it'll only be for TikTok live subscribers, and you'll get your comment answered there too in case I miss it. Hey, Sam, start 3, half PPR. Let's look at this one. Pittman, Ayuk, Puka, Deontay Johnson, Metcalf, or Nico Collins. Thank you. Yeah, Brad, it's Thursday night, man. We got to prioritize the Thursday night start sits. I don't see a single Thursday night single Thursday night player in there. So I'm gonna table that comment until Sunday morning. Why would you bench James Cook? Because it's a really, really rough matchup for James Cook tonight. The Bucs run defense is legit. They're a top 3 run defense in the league. And even their fantasy points allowed numbers, I think, are a bit misleading in PPR leagues because they have only allowed 1 running back to go over 15 fantasy points in PPR leagues. And that was Alvin Kamara, who had 13 catches for only 33 receiving yards when he played the Bucs. Why bench Bills defense? Because they're bad. The Bills defense is really bad. They are a bottom 10 defense in the NFL. Right now, they're allowing the 2nd most yards per play on first downs. All around bad for the Bills defense. They have just too many injuries to be good. Too many of their key defensive players are out. So yeah, you can't start the Bills defense, even though they've forced a lot of turnovers. I got offered Bijan and Ridley for Aaron Jones and Addison. Accept or decline? Bijan and Ridley for Aaron Jones and Addison. All right, let's check this one out in the Walter Picks Trade Analyzer really quick on the YouTube live. We're live on TikTok and YouTube, by the way. And on the YouTube live, it's a better viewing experience because I can share my screen from my computer. It's right in the TikTok bio if you want to come to the YouTube live. And I'm going to pull up the trade analyzer right now and do this one. It was Bijan and Ridley. Ridley definitely is a really low trade value right now versus let me find this comment. Mike Evans or Derrick Henry. I think I would lean Mike Evans just slightly. Do think Derrick Henry will get a lot of work this week, though, with the backup quarterback starting. Aaron Jones and Addison was the other side of this. And Aaron Jones is a really interesting guy to be trading for right now. He's obviously had a super disappointing season so far, but that definitely can change. Yeah, the Bijan side is more valuable. Take this trade, accept this trade. Bijan's by far the most valuable player in this trade. And Justin Jefferson will likely come back, too, at some point. And that is definitely going to be bad news for Addison. I still think Addison could have a high ceiling with Jefferson, but his floor absolutely will be much lower. Bless you. Thank you. All right, let's get back to some of these comments. Again, I think that this is going to be a high-scoring game. The Buccaneers have had one of the most low-scoring games in the league. So there's a bit of I'm expecting that to not continue a bit in this game. I think the Bills' offense will bounce back. I don't really care who the Bills' offense is generally playing against. I think Josh Allen can explode any given week. I still think he's a top 5 quarterback against the Bucs. I am nervous about the Bills' rushing attack, but if anything, that's only better for the Bills to be forced to throw the ball more. The Bucs are one of these pass funnel defenses, and the Bills are favored by 9 points in this game. But guys, the Bills' defense has been absolute trash. They are a bottom 10 defense in the league. They just lost to the Patriots, who have been just abysmal this season. And the Bucs offense is going to be able to move the ball against them for that reason. Last week, Kendrick Bourne, 6 catches, 63 yards and a touchdown. Demario Douglas, 4 catches, 54 yards as well. And that's why I really like Chris Godwin and Mike Evans tonight. I like Chris Godwin more than Mike Evans, though. I think that where the Bills really struggle is over the middle of the field against some of these slot-type receivers, and a little bit better against the deep threat receivers like Mike Evans. I think both guys are solid starts tonight, but yeah, I like Chris Godwin just a bit more. I think his floor is a bit better. Ryan, thanks for being a TikTok Live subscriber. Appreciate that. Should I trade Mike Evans for Mostert? Trade Mike Evans for Mostert? I was going to bench Josh Allen. We always get those comments in these Thursday Night Lives. And Sutton, yeah, I think I probably would do that trade. It's pretty close. Cook, Mixon, or Foreman? I think I would go Mixon over Cook for sure. And then Mixon versus Foreman is a tough call. With Roschon Johnson, I think will be back this week, and that does make me a little bit concerned about Foreman. So yeah, I think I'd go Mixon there. Thoughts on Barkley rest of the season? Keeper trade for Breece Hall / Bijan? Yeah, I think I would probably trade him for either of these guys. Honestly, I think I'd like Bijan more than Breece still. And then Palmer, questionable, or Ridley. Yeah, assuming Palmer plays, I'm going to want Palmer there, but that's a Sunday morning question. So we'll table it for then. Devontae Smith, Drake London, Josh Downs, full PPR, and Kittle or Kincaid. Yes, I'm playing Kincaid over Kittle too. I'm playing Kincaid over a lot of those mid-tier, high mid-tier tight ends. I'm playing Kincaid over every single tight end except for the top 3, Kelsey, Andrews, and Hawkinson. Otherwise, I'm going Kincaid. I'm playing Kincaid over Kittle. I'm playing him over Goddard. I'm playing over Waller, over Laporta, all of these guys. I think that Kincaid's role in the projected role tonight with no Dawson Knox and no third-string tight end for the Bills either is must-start territory for most people, unless you have one of those top 3 tight ends. And then the first part of this question, that's a Sunday morning question for sure. But yeah, I think I still lean towards Devontae Smith this week. This is a really, really close one for sure. All 3 of these guys are going to be close to my ranks, I think, this week. Dylan, what's going on, man? We're starting Mixon, Hunt, or James Cook tonight, full PPR. Yeah, you got to go with Mixon. And Hunt is dealing with some injuries. I think Mixon beats out Hunt, but I'm playing Mixon over James Cook for sure. James Cook is not a good start tonight. James Cook has a really difficult matchup tonight against a Buccaneers run defense that has allowed under 15 points to every running back they played in PPR leagues, except for Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara is the only running back to go over 15 PPR points against the Bucs, and he did that with 13 receptions. James Cook is not doing that tonight, I can promise you. Godwin or Zay Flowers is definitely a really close one too, and I lean Chris Godwin over Zay Flowers this week. Chris Godwin's actually the free player prop of the live stream. We're 11-4. Guys, it's tough to get better than this. This point of the season, we're in week 8, 11-4. We went 2 for 2 on the Sunday live last week with the JSN props. And tonight it's Chris Godwin, over 52.5 receiving yards. The Bills defense has really, really, really struggled, and that's going to continue on a short week. Demario Douglas and Kendrick Bourne, guys, went over this prop line last week. They are both significantly worse than Chris Godwin is. Chris Godwin's also coming off a season-high 12 targets, and he's getting back to full health. He is a good start tonight in PPR for sure. I'm playing Darrell Henderson, I think, over Kareem Hunt. Not a Thursday night question, though. Hurts or Allen? Yes, I would play Jalen Hurts over Josh Allen. The quarterbacks I would play over Josh Allen is a very, very short list. Jalen Hurts is definitely on that list. It's Mahomes, it's Hurts, it's Lamar. That's it. And these are the top 4 quarterbacks for me every single week. They have been really since week 1, I think. Mahomes, Hurts, Lamar are all better starts than Allen. I think this week they all have better matchups than Allen. Mahomes, Hurts, Lamar, they all have top 4 matchups this week in terms of playing defenses that have allowed top 5. They're bottom 5 in points allowed per game. The Bucs are about an average defense in terms of points allowed to quarterbacks, and actually the last couple quarterbacks that have played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have done pretty well. Let me pull up the number there. But yeah, I do think Josh Allen's a good start. But yeah, I'm not playing him over Jalen Hurts. Absolutely not. Let's pull up the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here. They rank okay against QBs. Yeah, last week they let up 250 passing yards and a rushing touchdown to Desmond Ridder. He also rushed for 38 yards, so almost 300 yards to Desmond Ridder plus a rushing touchdown. The week before that, Jared Goff destroyed them, 353 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. He went for 22 fantasy points. Jalen Hurts had a good game against them. He had 23 fantasy points a few weeks ago. So yeah, the Bucs defense is good, but they are much, much, much better against the run than they are against the pass. So you got to like Josh Allen still, but yeah, not over Jalen Hurts. Mark Andrews for Brees, I have Kincaid. It's a fair trade. I like it. If you have Kincaid, lean into it. I think Kincaid's a great option for as long as Dawson Knox is out. I am playing Kincaid over every tight end this week except for Andrews, Hawkinson, and Kelsey, of course. Allen or Lamar Jackson. Yeah, so I'm playing Lamar, Hurts, and Mahomes all over Allen. Thanks for doing the TikTok live subscription. I do appreciate it. Mike Evans or Jacoby Myers. That one's super close. Let's actually do this comparison. Mike Evans versus Jacoby Myers. And then I'll get to this question here in the TikTok live and the YouTube live. I'm going to get to all the questions I can. All right, let's get to this one. Myers versus Mike Evans. Both these guys I think are good starts this week, especially in PPR leagues for Myers. Good matchup for Myers. I don't think this is a bad matchup for Evans either. It's a better matchup, though, for Myers. Walter says Mike Evans, though, just by a bit here over Jacoby Myers. I think it's super, super close. I honestly think that Myers has a better floor. And yeah, Walter agrees with that at least. Evans has a higher ceiling. Myers has a better floor. So if you want to lock in at least 10 PPR points, you go with Jacoby Myers. If you want a chance at 30-plus PPR points, you go with Mike Evans. I think that makes a lot of sense to me, and I personally lean going with Mike Evans over Jacoby Myers. But yeah, extremely close. And if you want to lock in at least 10 points, I mean, there's not a very better option, many better options than Jacoby Myers. All right, James Cook, Darrell Henderson, or Rachaad White and Foreman. Which two should I start? Yeah, I'm starting with Rachaad White for sure over all of these guys. I'm starting with Rachaad White over Deontay Foreman. I'm starting him over Darrell Henderson. I'm starting him over James Cook. I'm starting, I think, both these other running backs over James Cook this week, though. Darrell Henderson and Foreman over James Cook. Again, bad matchup for James Cook. What is the ceiling, guys, for James Cook in this matchup? If the best running back game against the Bucs all season was Alvin Kamara, who put up 21 points with 13 receptions. Like, realistically, the ceiling for James Cook tonight is 15 points. Not a very exciting ceiling. And the floor is much lower than that. So, yeah, I think I would probably lean Darrell Henderson over Foreman, too, with Roschon Johnson likely going to be back. But that's more of a Sunday morning question. We'll see what the status on Roschon is closer to their kickoff. I am playing Godwin over Foreman. I am playing Godwin over Rachaad White as well. Chris Stark, thanks for being a TikTok Live subscriber. I appreciate it. Mike Evans, Amon-Ra, Breece Hall. Need to pick who to sit and who to start. Yeah, you got to sit Mike Evans in this one. It's definitely not going to be a fun night to sit Mike Evans, who has a really high ceiling, but the floor and ceiling is better for both these other guys. Amon-Ra and Breece need to be started for sure over Mike Evans. Ferguson or Ingram, that one's actually pretty close this week. I think I lean still Ingram over Ferguson, but it's a good matchup for Ferguson this week for sure. Garrett Wilson or Rachaad White. Also, should I package them for a better flex? If so, who? Don't package Garrett Wilson. I think Garrett Wilson's a great option right now, and he should be definitely started in that one. Hey, Sam, Ridley or Godwin? Brianne, it's got to be Godwin tonight over Ridley. At this point, I like actually the matchup for Ridley this week, and I think he has a ceiling for sure. But the floor, I mean, is not comparable. Chris Godwin's going to go over 10 PPR points tonight. Like a really, really good chance to do that. Ridley could easily go under 10 PPR points again if he doesn't score a touchdown or make a big play. So, yeah, I definitely like Godwin more. I don't think that this one's that close. Walter definitely agrees. And, yeah, Walter gives Chris Godwin a 75% chance to score at least 10 points and only a 50% chance here for Calvin Ridley to do so. So not very close. And just looking at the game logs for Ridley versus Godwin, it's not really close. Ridley has 4 games now under 8 PPR fantasy points. And I don't think Godwin, he doesn't have a single game under 8 PPR fantasy points. I mean, these guys aren't even that comparable. It's definitely Godwin, I think, over Ridley. Thanks for coming back to the live. Good to see you as always. James Cook or K9? Got to be K9. Even though he's questionable this week, I do not want to start James Cook against the Bucs defense. That's only allowed 1 running back to go over 15 PPR points this entire season. Hey, Sam, Nico Pickens or Rachaad White in PPR? I think I'd go Nico or Pickens over Rachaad White. I like both those guys a lot. I think I lean Nico over Pickens. I think I'd rank them in that order. Nico, then Pickens, then Rachaad White. Deontay Johnson didn't practice today with a hamstring injury. That is really, really concerning. He was on IR with a hamstring injury. Unclear to me still if that it was the same hamstring, but either way, Deontay Johnson really might not play this week, and that's probably only good for George Pickens. DJ Moore, Addison is super close. I lean DJ Moore just slightly. Do I trade Swift and Myers for Bijan and Olave? Yeah, I would do this. I like Bijan more than Swift, and I think I still like Olave more than Myers rest of season. And even though, that hasn't been the case so far this year, I think that's reasonable rest of season, Jacob. So yeah, I'm okay with this trade. I think it's a fair trade overall too. Pretty fair on each side. All right, Sam, help. We got decisions. Got Diggs and Kincaid going tonight. Now deciding flex spot between James Cook and Calvin Ridley. Yeah, don't start James Cook. Don't start James Cook. You don't want to start James Cook, Diggs, and Kincaid. Ridley has a much higher ceiling against the Steelers than James Cook has against the Bucs. There's really no ceiling tonight for James Cook. The ceiling comes from the Bills in a really positive game script. They are 9-point favorites, but even still, the Bucs are an extremely pass funnel defense because they are so good against the run, which is why only one running back has gone over 15 PPR points against them this season. And it took a lot to do it. Alvin Kamara had 13 receptions to go over 20 points against the Bucs. He actually only had 33 receiving yards on 13 receptions in that game. No running back has scored a rushing touchdown against the Bucs this entire season. 0 rushing touchdowns by a running back against the Buccaneers defense. Chris Stark, thanks for the gift in the TikTok live. That's a great one. DK or Derrick Henry, standard. Yeah, standard leagues, I really do like the running backs over the receivers where possible, and Derrick Henry is a great standard option. Rachaad White or Stevenson. I'm going Stevenson over. I would go Stevenson over James Cook this week, but I'm going Rachaad White over Stevenson. It's an interesting spot. Back-to-back weeks for Ramondre Stevenson with 6 receptions. That's exactly what you want to see, but Rachaad White's absolutely going to play more than him. All right, we got a TikTok Live subscriber question. If you guys do the TikTok Live subscription, you'll get 100% of your comments answered 100% of the time. All right, would you start Godwin over Addison, Thielen, and Lamb, half PPR? Yeah, so I'm definitely not going to start Godwin over Lamb. Absolutely not to that one. But I think Godwin versus Thielen is pretty close. And I think who's the other person? Was it Addison in that comment? Let me scroll back up here. I think that you said Godwin, Addison. Yeah, Godwin, Addison, and Thielen. Let's do that comparison right now. I think I lean Godwin. It's really close, honestly. I don't want to bench Thielen. I am a little nervous about Thielen, though, with the offensive coordinator change. The Panthers changed their offensive coordinator in their bye week. Man, but look at this projection here. Yeah, you're not playing Godwin over Thielen, and you're not playing Godwin over Addison. You got to bench Godwin. You got to bench Godwin in that one. You're playing Thielen and Addison over Godwin. I really do like Godwin tonight. This is, I think, the first question I'm saying to bench Godwin. I think this whole live stream, we're about an hour in now. So yeah, bench Chris Godwin if you have Addison and Adam Thielen. I would play Godwin over Pittman this week. I am playing Kincaid over Kittle. I'm playing Kincaid over basically every tight end. I'm playing Kincaid over every tight end that's not Kelsey, Hawkinson, and Andrews. Hey, Sam, who do you start at running back 2? James Cook, Foreman, or Dameon Pierce? Yeah, I'm interested to see what the app says about this one too. I mean, personally, I like Foreman and Pierce more than James Cook this week. I'm nervous about Pierce given his lack of usage compared to Singletary before the Texans bye, but you couldn't ask for a better matchup for Dameon Pierce against the Panthers. I mean, the Panthers are down there with the Broncos in terms of being able to stop the run this season. And I'm very nervous for James Cook against the Bucs. I don't think he has a very legit ceiling. Yeah, both these guys are close to James Cook at least. But yeah, it's Foreman over James Cook, and it's James Cook over Dameon Pierce. I think if you're in a PPR league, that makes sense because Dameon Pierce will not catch very many passes. And yeah, Dameon Pierce's last game was super concerning. Dameon Pierce has now been under 12 points in each of his last 3 games. He's had some good matchups in here too, but this is the best matchup of Dameon Pierce's season so far this week. So it's close, but yeah, I think I'd go Foreman, then James Cook, then Dameon Pierce in a PPR league. Waller or Kincaid? Yeah, I'm playing Kincaid over every tight end that's not Kelsey, Hawkinson, and Andrews. So it's Kincaid. Why do you put guys like Diggs and Allen in the must start category? Yeah, we get comments like this every Thursday night, and it's because if I didn't put Josh Allen and Steph Diggs in the must-start category. I'll pull up this list on YouTube as well. I got it up on TikTok and YouTube. And if I didn't put them in there, then I'd get comments that are saying, why are Steph Diggs and Josh Allen not in the must-start category? I get that everyone's going to start them already. Godwin or T. Higgins? Yeah, I would go Godwin over T. Higgins. Kittle is still start-worthy for sure. Godwin or Sutton? I'm going Godwin over Sutton pretty easily. We're benching Gabe Davis because he's been under 4 PPR points in each of his last 2 games. If Godwin does not, if Gabe Davis does not score a touchdown, he's probably going to go under 10 points, like almost definitely. He has a good chance at a touchdown. But yeah, I don't love it. Why are we benching the Bucs defense? Yeah, the Bucs defense has forced the highest rate of turnovers in the NFL on a per drive basis, but they're playing the Bills. So yeah, you can't start them. Why are we starting Kincaid over Waller? Why are we starting Kincaid over George Kittle, over Sam Laporta? Why are we starting Kincaid over Dallas Goedert? And it's because he is in a smash spot situationally tonight. It's not a great matchup for Dalton Kincaid. That's not why we're all in on Dalton Kincaid. We're all in on Dalton Kincaid because he just has such a clear path to the most playing time he's had all season. And he's coming off the best game of his entire career as well. He caught all 8 of his targets. Last week, Kincaid has only not caught 2 of his targets this entire season. He's got one of the highest catch rates in the league. He was the only tight end taken in the first round of this year's draft. He is very, very good. And there's no Dawson Knox. And even the third string tight end for the Bills is out tonight too. So I expect Dalton Kincaid to be the number 2 receiving option for Josh Allen tonight. And I want the number 2 receiving option for Josh Allen in my tight end slot. Yeah, thank you. Yes, please, to that every single time. So yeah, I'm starting Dalton Kincaid in most spots. I'm not starting him over Hawkinson, though. I would not do that. I would not start him over Andrews or Kelsey either. But yeah, I'd start him basically over everybody else. I have Taylor, Kamara, and Pollard. Gibbs or Breece Hall. Let me get to that one in a second from the TikTok Live subscriber. I think I lost. Should I trade one in Pittman for Breece Hall? I think trading JT and Pittman for Breece Hall is reasonable. All right, Breece and Gibbs is a really tough call. I mean, you kind of have to start, I think, both of these guys. I think if I have to choose one, I think I'd probably lean Breece Hall over Gibbs personally. Walter has them back-to-back in the app rankings while they're both projected 17 PPR points. But yeah, I personally lean Breece over Gibbs. Breece has the better matchup compared to Gibbs. They both have fantastic matchups, but there is still at least a chance David Montgomery plays this week, which is why if I have to answer that question right now, I lean Breece over Gibbs. James Cook, guys, can't be started because he's playing the Buccaneers defense, and the Buccaneers defense crushes any ceiling that running backs have. Alvin Kamara, guys, he had 13 catches against the Bucs defense. He still barely went over 20 points. He was the only running back this whole season to go over 20 PPR points against the Bucs, and it took 13 catches to do that. Sam, I can't believe I'm about to ask this, but pick 2: Josh Jacobs, Rashad White, or Curtis Samuel. Man, yeah, we are down bad if you have Josh Jacobs, but yeah, you're not playing Curtis Samuel over Josh Jacobs. Absolutely not, even though it's a good matchup for Curtis Samuel against the Eagles secondary. Eagles are very similar to the Bucs in a lot of ways defensively, where they are pass funnel defenses. Their front line, their defensive line is extremely talented. I'd say the Eagles are an even more extreme version of the Buccaneers defense. But yeah, the Bucs defense extremely pass funnel because they're so good against the run, but they are just average against the pass. Where the Eagles are elite against the run, but terrible against the pass. Sup, Sam? Prop of the day. Yeah, we got the prop of the day. It's Chris Godwin over 52.5 receiving yards. I'll lock this one in, and this is straight from the prop evaluator in the Walter Picks app, which is free. But it's free to try, guys. If you haven't tried the Walter Picks app yet, it's the best way you could possibly support me. I'll pull this up on the YouTube Live right now. Best way you could possibly support me is by downloading the free Walter Picks app and using code SAM when you sign up. That is a good way to support me as well. Let me pull this up on the YouTube Live. It's already up on the TikTok Live. This is straight from the Walter Picks app. Chris Godwin has at least 50 receiving yards, at least 51 receiving yards in 9 of his last 10 games. You go back to last season. So far this season, he's got at least 58 receiving yards in all but one game. And he's coming off his highest target share game of the season, where he had the most targets, 12 targets last week of the season. He also has not had a game under a 19% target share. Like, the floor is so high for Chris Godwin, and the ceiling's over 100 yards as well. And the Bills secondary is trash. They let up this prop line to Demario Douglas and Kendrick Bourne last week, as the Bills just lost to, I do like it as high as 55.5. I would take that. I got it as low as 50.5 this morning, but yeah, I'm okay going all the way up to 58.5 on the Chris Godwin prop. Demario Douglas and Kendrick Bourne both were at least close, if not at least one of them passed that just last week. So yeah, I do like the Chris Godwin prop a lot tonight. Also, guys, if you have never played on Sleeper before, the Pick'em game on Sleeper, go sign up for Sleeper. They're giving you Josh Allen over half a passing yard tonight. If you've never deposited on Sleeper, they're giving you Josh Allen over half a passing yard. Plus, if you use code Walter when you sign up, you'll get a 100% deposit match on Sleeper. So you deposit 100, you'll get 200. Then you get to play on the Josh Allen half a passing yard. And if you've already deposited on Sleeper, I really like the Steph Diggs discounted line tonight too. They give out these discounted lines all the time, and Steph Diggs is discounted at 65.5 receiving yards, which I believe he's hit every single game so far this season. Let me pull up the Steph Diggs numbers here. And yeah, every single game, except for last week, Steph Diggs has at least 66 receiving yards. So yeah, he's probably almost definitely going to go for 66 receiving yards tonight. Steph Diggs has the highest floor, I think, among all receivers so far this season. He has not had a bad game. Guys, Steph Diggs does not have a game under 13.5 PPR points. Absolutely insane stuff. Again, use code Walter to support me, and you'll get a 100% deposit match on Sleeper when you do that. Link to the Sleeper app, by the way, is in the YouTube description, or just look up Sleeper on the App Store. Godwin or Flowers? I'm going Godwin over Flowers. I'm playing Olave over Godwin, even though I like a Godwin a lot tonight for sure. There is a little bit of weather to talk about tonight. Weatherman Sam, let me put my weather hat on. We talked about a lot of weather last week, and it doesn't look like it's going to be nearly as bad of a week weather-wise. I knock on wood as we speak on Thursday, though, because a lot can change from Thursday to Sunday. But tonight, I can almost guarantee you they talk about the weather on the broadcast, but it's not going to matter very much. There's going to be sustained winds around 10 miles an hour and wind gusts up to 20 miles an hour. Not the concerning threshold. Absolutely going to have no impact on the game. Not concerned about it at all. There might be some light rain at some point in the game. Also not concerned about that. Doesn't seem like it's going to be a heavy rain game just in general. Hey, Sam, kind of iffy here. Godwin, Devontae Smith, Waddle, Thielen, half PPR, pick 3. Yeah, this one's close. I think you go Godwin over Devontae Smith, and I think you start Godwin tonight. Don't start him in your flex, obviously, and then you'll have to decide between Devontae Smith and Waddle. You got to start Thielen, I think, at this point. But yeah, start Godwin over Devontae Smith for sure. And then I think Waddle is just questionable. That's the only reason I'm saying you might have to decide between those two guys. I think he'll probably play, though, and you're probably going to want to play Waddle over Devontae Smith as well. Komet, Miles Sanders, or Michael Mayer in the flex, 1.5 tight end premium. Wow, Chris. Not a Thursday night question, but I think I would probably go away from Miles Sanders on this one, probably with Komet, honestly, in this one. Bench Cook, yeah, we're benching Cook because the Bucs run defense has been extremely elite this season. James Cook is I think his rushing prop line is like around 40 rushing yards. First of all, Latavius Murray has started each of the last 2 games for the Bills, and he's played over 40% of the snaps each of the last 2 games for the Bills. I don't get why the Bills are doing this. Latavius Murray is significantly worse at basically everything compared to James Cook. James Cook is a talented running back, but it's a horrible matchup for James Cook as well, on top of the concerning usage compared to Latavius Murray. James Cook is playing a Buccaneers defense that's only allowed one running back to go over 15 PPR points, and that was Alvin Kamara, who had 13 receptions, which James Cook is absolutely not going to do. So there's no ceiling for James Cook. He's going to have to score a touchdown to produce his floor. So yeah, I'm nervous about James Cook just in general. I think he's a bench in most situations. I am playing Godwin over London. What's going to happen with the Bears running backs? I think Roschon's going to have a pretty significant role, and I'm a little bit scared about Deontay Foreman. I still think I'd play Deontay Foreman over James Cook, though. Pick 3, PPR, Breece Hall, Godwin, Addison, or Hollywood. While I know Cook isn't a great play today, it's him or Gus. Yeah, you got to play him over Gus, I think, Billy. You got to go with James Cook over Gus, especially if this is a PPR league. I know Gus had a big week last week because he had an 80-yard receiving touchdown, which is ridiculous. I actually don't know if he scored on that play, but he had a huge catch, which was definitely the longest catch of his entire career. But I'm definitely starting James Cook over him in PPR especially. And then Breece Hall has got to be started over Godwin. Addison should be started over Godwin, but Godwin should be started over Hollywood Brown. I'd go Godwin over Hollywood. Thursday night question here. We got Ridley Palmer, Rashad White, and Kareem Hunt start 2. Yeah, you're definitely starting Rashad White in this one. I think Rashad White's got the highest floor of all of these guys. Palmer's questionable right now. If he wasn't, I would definitely say he's the number 2 option here. But yeah, it's Rashad White, and then you're going to have to decide between Ridley and Palmer. Do you like Kincaid over 41.5 receiving yards? Kyle, man, that line just keeps going up. And yeah, I don't hate it. I like his reception line more than the receiving yards line, but I like both of them. I think they're both solid. I know it's isn't about Thursday, but no idea what to do here, Sam. Madison or Javonte, help. Yeah, I think that one's pretty tough. I think I lean towards Javonte. But man, it's a bad matchup against the Chiefs, and I actually think I would bench Javonte there and I'd start Madison. It's a tough call for sure. Michael Thomas or Josh Downs? I think at this point it's Josh Downs over Michael Thomas. James Cook or Alexander Madison? I would go Madison. Is James Cook getting 60-plus receiving yards and rushing? Mateo, probably not. He probably isn't because Latavius Murray is going to get half the work, and the Bucs defense has been extremely good at stopping the run and giving up yards. They also haven't allowed a single rushing touchdown to running back this season. But let's just go back and look at how some other running backs have done against the Bucs. Cordell Patterson was actually pretty efficient last week. He had 56 rushing yards on 10 carries, but no catches. Tyler Algier, he actually had over 100 total yards last week against the Bucs, no touchdowns. He had 3 catches, 53 yards, 21 carries though, only 59 yards. A really inefficient day on the ground for him. David Montgomery, he did nothing, only 14 yards. Craig Reynolds only 15 yards in that one. Jahmyr Gibbs did nothing in that game too, if he even played in that one. Alvin Kamara, he only had 51 rushing yards against them, but he did have a good receiving day, but he had 13 receptions, so he's extremely inefficient, under 3 yards a catch against the Bucs in his first game back. Kenneth Gainwell didn't do much. DeAndre Swift did have 130 rushing yards against the Bucs. That was, I think, also a Thursday night, and he still didn't score a touchdown, and that was the second best fantasy day we've seen against the Bucs defense. And he only had 1 catch in that game. They really haven't allowed any running backs over 3 receptions this whole season other than Alvin Kamara. So yeah, I just don't think there's a great floor ceiling for Cook. I think that line right around 60 total yards is a good one. James Cook or Foreman, I think I'd lean Foreman over James Cook. James Cook, Jacoby Myers, or Addison full PPR. I'd rank these guys in the reverse order. I'd go Addison, then Myers, then Cook. I think Addison and Myers are like relatively close. Myers has a better matchup than Addison, but man, I don't know how we're benching Addison after he was the number 1 wide receiver in PPR last week. Who would you rather have, Saquon or Kamara? I think I'd rather have Kamara than Saquon right now. I am starting Kincaid, guys, over Kittle. I'm starting Kincaid over Kittle. I'm starting Kincaid over Goddard. I'm starting Kincaid over Waller. I'm starting him over Laporta. All these tight ends, guys, I'm starting Kincaid over. I'm starting Kelsey, Hawkinson, and Andrews over Kincaid. That's it. Start Hill. If that's Taysom Hill, no, don't start Taysom Hill over Kincaid. If that's Tyreek Hill, now we're talking. Now you can start Tyreek Hill, I think, over Kincaid for sure. But yeah, Kincaid, guys, he's going to see his largest role of his career. He had an 81% snap share in week 1. He could easily go over that. He probably will go over that tonight in a game with no Dawson Knox and with no Quentin Morris, the 3rd string tight end for the Bills. All right, let me wrap up my final thoughts on this game. We are going to go rapid fire in the comment section on the TikTok live in just a few minutes. I really like Chris Godwin tonight. I'm playing him over Amari Cooper, but I don't think I'd play him over Terry McLaurin. I do really like Terry McLaurin this week as well. All right, so you got to start Josh Allen and Diggs. We don't need to talk about that, obviously. Dalton Kincaid should be started, I think, over all tight ends not named Kelsey, Andrews, Hawkinson. It's close between a lot of those guys after that. Waller, Kittle, Laporta, Dallas Goedert. I think all those guys are in the same tier as Kincaid this week. I wouldn't knock you for starting any of those guys over Kincaid. I just think that Kincaid has a pretty high floor and ceiling as Josh Allen's number 2 receiving option with no Dawson Knox and with no 3rd string tight end for the Bills either. All right, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, solid starts tonight as well as Rashad White. I'm benching James Cook because only 1 running back has more than 15 PPR points against the Bucs this year, who have allowed 0 rushing touchdowns to running backs. And it was Alvin Kamara who did it with 13 receptions. I don't think James Cook's going to do that. Gabe Davis, his floor is under 4 points, like he's done each of the last 2 weeks. If he scores a touchdown, then we could see the ceiling, which is over 20 points. It's a boom bust option, desperation play if you need it. Baker, not going to be started. So no questions about him. None of these other guys, I don't think anyone's asking about. I do think the Bucs keep this game close. They're 9-point underdogs. I do like them +9. We're in even 50% against the spread, by the way. I've been picking every single game against the spread on these lives, and I'm 53-53 so far this season. Where we are not at 50%, though, is the free player props, which I'm at 11-4. I'm 11-4. Vita Vea inactive. Wow, that's good for James Cook for sure. Thank you to the TikTok Live subscriber who called that out. Let me pull the Twitter feed up. Definitely that's good for James Cook. It's definitely good for Josh Allen, too. Let me see. I'm not seeing any official inactives yet, at least on my feed. But yeah, I really do like Chris Godwin over 52.5 receiving yards tonight. I think the Bucs keep it close enough and have to throw a lot. And the Bills defense has been atrocious. I think someone said in the live, this line's moved to 55.5. I still like it there. I would go as high as 58.5 with the Chris Godwin over tonight. Kincaid or Goddard, I do like Kincaid more than Goddard, and Cook's a bench because the Bucs defense has been really elite against running backs. We're not playing Godwin over Kupp. Absolutely not. Kupp needs to be started 100% of the time. Have a great game. Have a great day to you as well. Kylo doesn't have his receptions line, but they do have his targets at 6 flat thoughts. Yeah, I do like the targets at 6 for sure. I think that's really, really strong. That's even safer, I think, than the receptions line. I'm playing Rachaad White over Josh Jacobs. It feels gross, but we got to see something, some juice out of Josh Jacobs until we can start him. All right. TikTok live, YouTube live, excuse me. Time is the most valuable thing we have. Thanks for spending some time with me tonight. I'll be back live, of course, Sunday morning. If I didn't get to your start sit, go to the Walter Picks app. It's in the YouTube description. It's going to help you. Or come to the TikTok live where I'm going to go rapid fire in the comment section for the next 5 or 10 minutes. Have a good night, guys, and good luck, everybody.